I led them, nor Eurylochus would stay from their attendance on me. Our light fray struck to his heart so. But meantime my men in Circe's house were all in several banes studiously sweetened, smugged with oil, and decked within and out weeds, and a feast secret served in before them, at which close we found they all were set cheered and carousing round, when mutual sight had, and all thought on, then feast was forgotten, and the moan again about the house flew, driven with the wings of joy. But then spake Circe, Now no more annoy. I know myself what woes by sea and shore and men unjust have plagued enough before your injured virtues. Here then feast as long and be as cheerful, till ye go as strong as when ye first forsook your country earth. Ye now fare all like exiles, not a mirth flashed in among ye, but is quenched again with still renewed tears. Though the beaten vein of your distresses should, methink, be now benumb with sufferance. We did well allow her kind persuasions, and the whole year stayed in varied feast with her. When, now arrayed the world was with the spring, and orby hours had gone the round again through herbs and flowers, the months absolved in order, till the days had run their full race in Apollo's rays, my friends remembered me of home, and said, If ever fate would sign my past, delayed it should be now or no more. I heard them well, yet that day spent in feast till darkness fell, and sleep his virtues through our vapour shed. When I ascended sacred Circe's bed, implored my pass, and her performed vow which now my soul urged, and my soldiers now afflicted me with tears to get them gone. All these I told her, and she answered these, much skilled Ulysses Laertiades. Remain no more against your wills with me, but take your free way. Only this must be performed before you steer your course for home. You must the way to Pluto overcome, and stern Persephone to form your pass. By the aged Theban soul Tiresias, the dark-browed prophet, whose soul can see clearly and firmly grave Persephone. Even dead, gave him a mind, that he alone might sing truth's solid wisdom, and not one prove more than shade in his comparison. This broke my heart. I sunk into my bed, mourned, and would never more be comforted with light nor life. But having now expressed my pains enough to her in my unrest, that so I might prepare her ruth and get all I held fit for an affair so great, I said, O Circe, who shall steer my course to Pluto's kingdom? Never ship has had force to make that voyage. The divine in voice said, Seek no guide, raise you your mast, and hoist your ship's white sails, and then sit you at peace. The fresh north spirit shall waft ye through the seas, but having passed the ocean, you shall see a little shore, that to Persephone puts up a consecrated wood, where grows tall firs and sallows, that their fruits soon lose. Cast anchor in the gulfs, and go alone to Pluto's dark house, where to Acheron Cocytus runs, and Pyriphlegethon, Cocytus born of Styx, and where a rock of both the met floods bears the roaring shock. The dark hero, great Tiresias, now coming near, to gain propitious pass, dig of a cubit every way a pit, and pour to all that are deceased in it a solemn sacrifice. For which first take honey and wine, with their commixtion make. Then sweet wine neat, and thirdly water pour, and lastly aid to these the whitest flour. Then vow to all the weak necks of the dead offerings a number. And when thou shalt tread the Ithacensian shore, to sacrifice a heifer never tamed, and most of prize, a pile of all thy most esteemed goods, inflaming to the dear streams of their bloods, and in secret rites to Tiresias vow a ram coal-black at all parts, that doth flow with fat and fleece, and all thy flocks doth lead. When the all-calling nation of the dead thou thus hast prayed to, offer on the place a ram and you all black, being turned in face to dreadful Erebus, thyself aside the flood's shore walking. And then, gratified with flocks of souls of men and dames deceased, shall all thy pious rites be. Straight addressed See then the offspring that thy fellows slew, flayed and imposed in fire, and all thy crew prayed to the state of either deity, grave Pluto and severe Persephone. Then draw thy sword, stand firm, nor suffer one of all the faint shades of the dead and gone to approach the blood, till thou hast heard their king, the wise Tiresias, who thy offering will instantly do honor, thy home ways and all the measure of them by the seas amply unfolding. This the goddess told. And then the morning in her throne of gold surveyed the vast world, by whose orient light the nymph adorned me with attires as bright, her own hands putting on both shirt and weed, robes fine and curious, and upon my head an ornament that glittered like a flame, girt me in gold. And forth betimes I came amongst my soldiers, roused them all from sleep, and bade them now no more observance keep of ease and feast, but straight a shipboard fall. For now the goddess had informed me all. Their noble spirits agreed, nor yet so clear could I bring all off, but Elpenor there his heedless life left. He was youngest man of all my company, and one that won least fame for arms, as little for his brain, who, too much steeped in wine and so much fain to get refreshing by the cool of sleep, apart his fellows, plunged in vapours deep, and they, as high in tumult of their way, suddenly waked, and quite out of the stay a sober mind had given him, would descend a huge long ladder forward, and an end fell from the very roof, full pitching on the dearest joint his head was placed upon, which quite dissolved let loose his soul to hell. I to the rest, and Circe's means did tell of our return, as crossing clean the hope I gave them first, and said, You think the scope of our endeavours now is straight for home. No. Circe otherwise designed, whose doom enjoined us first to greet the dreadful house of austere Pluto and his glorious spouse, to take the counsel of Tiresias, the reverend Theban, to direct our pass. This brake their hearts, and grief made tear their hair. But grief was never good at great affair, it would have way yet. We went woeful on to ship and shore, where was arrived as soon Circe unseen, a black ewe and a ram binding for sacrifice, and as she came vanished again unwitnessed by our eyes, which grieved not us, nor checked our sacrifice. For who would see God, loath to let us see, this way or that bent? Still his ways are free. The Odyssey, Book 11, The Argument. Ulysses' way to helm appears, where the grave Tiresias hears, inquires his own and others' fates, his mother sees, and the after states in which were held by sad decease heroes and heroesses a number, that at Troy waged war, as Ajax, that was still at jar with Ithacus for the arms he lost, and with the great Achilles' ghost. Another argument. Ulysses here invokes the dead, the lives appear hereafter led. Arrived now at our ship, we launched and set our mast up, put forth sail, and in did get our late got cattle. Up our sails we went, my wayward fellows mourning now the event. A good companion yet, a foreright wind, Circe, the excellent utterer of her mind, supplied our murmuring consorts with, that was both speed and guide to our adventurous pass. All day our sails stood to the winds, and made our voyage prosperous. Sun then set, in shade all ways obscuring, on the bounds we fell of deep Oceanus, where people dwell, whom a perpetual cloud obscures outright, to whom the cheerful sun lends never light, nor when he mounts the star-sustaining heaven, nor when he stoops earth and sets up the even, but night holds fixed wings, feathered all with banes, above those most unblessed Cimmerians. Here drew we up our ship, our sheep withdrew, and walked the shore till we attained the view of that sad region Circe had foreshowed. And then the sacred offerings to be vowed Eurylochus and Persimedes bore. When I my sword drew, and earth's womb did gore, till I a pit digged of a cubit round, which with the liquid sacrifice we crowned, first honey mixed with wine, then sweet wine neat, then water poured in, last the flour of wheat. Much I importuned then the weak-necked dead, and vowed, when I the barren soil should tread of cliffy Ithaca, amidst my hall to kill a heifer, my clear best of all, in given offering on a pile composed of all the choice goods my whole house enclosed. And to Tiresias himself alone, a sheep, coal black, and the selectest one of all my flocks. When to the powers beneath the sacred nation that survived with death, my prayers and vows had done devotions fit, I took the offerings and upon the pit bereft their lives. Out gushed the sable blood, and round about me fled out of the flood the souls of the deceased. There cluttered then youths and their wives, much suffering aged men, soft tender virgins, that but new came there by timeless death, and green their sorrows were. There men-at-arms, with armors all embrued, wounded with lances, and with falchions hewed. In numbers, up and down the ditch did stalk, and threw unmeasured cries about their walk, so hard that a bloodless fear surprised my daunted spirits. Straight then I advised my friends to flay the slaughtered sacrifice, put them in fire, and to the deities, stern Pluto and Persephone, apply exciteful prayers. Then drew I from my thigh my well-edged sword, stepped in, and firmly stood betwixt the priests of shadows and the blood, and would not suffer anyone to dip within our offering his unsolid lip, before Tiresias that did all control. The first that pressed in was Elpenor's soul, his body in the broad-wayed earth as yet unmourned, unburied by us, since we sweat with other urgent labors. Yet his smart I wept to see, and rooted from my heart, inquiring how he could before me be that came by ship. He, mourning, answered me, in Circe's house, the spite some spirit did bear, and the unspeakable good liquor there, hath been my bane. For, being to descend a ladder much in height, I did not tend my way well down, but forwards made a proof to tread the rounds, and from the very roof fell on my neck and brake it. And this made my soul thus visit this infernal shade, and hear, by them that next thyself are dear, thy wife and father, that a little one gave food to thee, and by thy only son at home behind thee left, Telemachus, do not depart by stealth and leave me thus, unmourned, unburied, lest neglected I bring on thyself the incensed deity. I know that, sailed from hence, thy ship must touch on the isle Aea, where vouchsafe thus much, good king, that landed, thou wilt instantly bestow on me thy royal memory to this grace, that my body, arms and all, may rest consumed in fiery funeral. And on the foamy shore a sepulchre erect to me, that after times may hear of one so helpless. Let me these implore, and fix upon my sepulchre the oar with which alive I shook the aged seas, and had of friends the dear societies.